The New York Jets are entering yet another season with extremely low expectations. Their over-under win total is set at 5.5, and some people aren't sure that Aaron Glenn will even make it through the season. I don't need to sell anyone on why the Jets might be bad. A more interesting scenario is one where New York isn't an unmitigated disaster and looks the part of a competitive franchise. Not only would this change how we view the Jets in the short term, but it could also alter the franchise's plans for 2027 and beyond. That's why my question is, what if Geno Smith isn't washed? Smith's return to New York comes after an embarrassing season with the Raiders that was so calamitous that it resulted in Las Vegas receiving the number one pick. It's easy to see why people are already digging Geno's grave. He has been on a steady downward trajectory for the last 3 seasons, and the Jets aren't known for revitalizing careers. But there are a few reasons why another career turnaround isn't out of the question. To start off, Smith is 35, which isn't that old for starting quarterbacks, and his body should actually be in better shape than the average 35-year-old starter since Smith spent several years as a backup who rarely got onto the field. Also, as bad as Smith might have been with the Raiders last year, he was in one of the worst situations I've ever seen. His offensive line was one of, if not the worst in the league. His coaching staff was one of, if not the worst in the league. And his receiver room was, you guessed it, one of, if not the worst in the league. That doesn't mean that nothing can be blamed on Geno. No one is saying he's infallible. My point is that it's hard to judge a quarterback in an environment like that. Is it possible Geno has regressed and is no longer a starting caliber player? Sure, but it's also possible that his teammates and coaches made him look worse than he is. If you can just get Smith back to his 2023 or 2024 form, then the outlook on the Jets changes quite a bit. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper, A.D. Mitchell, and Kenyon Sadiq are far from a bad group of weapons. The offensive line was mediocre last year, but should be appreciably better than what Smith had in Vegas. The defense added a handful of impactful starters too, so with the right QB, this suddenly becomes an interesting team. I wouldn't say a great team, but an interesting one. And the reason that New York becomes so intriguing is that even if Smith plays the Jets out of tanking territory, they still have 3 first-round picks in 2027, and could easily package them together to move up and take a quarterback. The better Geno plays, the harder that decision becomes. I guess I could reframe the question to how good would Geno have to be to get another season as the Jets starter? The answer to this will at least partially depend on how the 2027 quarterback class shakes out, and where the Jets are positioned to pick. Not only their own selection, but the ones they own from the Colts and Cowboys. A strong season from Smith could be a huge win for the Jets. It could also end up setting the franchise back years. Maybe Geno is truly cooked, rendering this entire discussion useless. But until we see him take the field in September, nothing can be ruled out.